we got to go after it, and somebody needs to lead, and I decided to do that.
Ms. Butler?
Yes, I'm not going to have much involvement with that project. I'm going to take, my first effort is going to be to find somebody in the community who can take that as a leadership project, because while it's a wonderful idea, I just think that the prosecutor has to spend time prosecuting and handling the business of the law firm of the city, of the county of Cuyahoga, and that's one of the things that's been missing, I think, in this administration.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Okay. This question is for both candidates. As prosecutors, either one of you would have a budget, but we're not going to have a lot more tax dollars. And instead of seeking the advice of some far-off entity on how we can save money or get more bang for the buck, what would you specifically do to have the stakeholders of this community, the defense lawyers, the people who serve on the grand jury, people who actually work in the prosecutor's office, the judges, be able to give ideas on how could we save money on this little piece? If you were running a factory, you would ask the workers, what could you do a little bit better and a little bit smarter? And I'm interested in the ways we could do something with our limited resources.
Ms. Butler, 1 minute, and
Well,
then
the
Mr.
first,
Mason.
I'm sorry. The first thing I would do is have an audit of the office and find out where the bucks are being spent, where the money's going. And then the second thing I would do would be to try to streamline those processes that just don't need the time and attention that some others may. And then you just have to tighten your belt. And I know that now is not a good time to talk about belt tightening when we've got crime at the level that it is. But I also think that having worked in a government office for as long as I have, I know that there's waste someplace, and I know that restructuring, reorganizing can create the kind of savings that we're going to need.
Mr. Mason, please.
Well, we have tackled that already. Our justice system reform is all about that. It's all about streamlining, doing things more efficiently, doing it quicker, getting it done smarter. That's what we've been doing for the past 4 years. That's exactly what we're doing. In fact, we expect that there's going to be a savings from the way we move these people through the system, these defendants, as we move them through the system. By the time they're not spending languishing in jail waiting for the system to take care of itself, it's $85 a day when somebody sits in jail. When we move them through quicker and get them off to the state institution or get them on probation, whatever we do, it's a savings to the county of $85 a day per person. It's a tremendous saving. It's a lot that we're looking forward to doing. And we've been doing a lot of things like that to make it more efficient, to make it more cost-effective.
Next question over here, please.
Hi, I'm Megan O'Brien with the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center. We work closely with the prosecutor's office on a daily basis to advocate for survivors of sexual assault. And I'm directing this question to Ms. Butler, and thank you for your early support of the Rape Crisis Center. We're celebrating our 35th anniversary next year.
Oh, wow.
I'm interested to hear from both candidates, though, your thoughts on discovery, open discovery. We're concerned that an across-the-board open discovery plan would not protect or give victims or witnesses a say in the discovery process. Rape is already grossly underreported, and fear of retaliation is a major reason why people don't come forward to report. As advocates, our primary concern is victim safety and cooperation in the process. How would you protect victims who might be hurt or threatened by the perpetrator as a result of what might have been in the witness statement?
I think that's a great question. That's a terrible microphone, though. One of the things that has been raised frequently about open discovery is that the victim is going to be jeopardized. And I think that a good prosecutor is going to know when those instances occur. And there are measures that can be taken to protect those witnesses. One of them is just to redact the witness information and give out the file as it is, as long as the defendant has an understanding of what the charges are, and that there is somebody who is going to testify against them. That's the first way of doing it. Many counties are now engaging in open discovery and doing it that way, and protecting witnesses as well as making sure that the defendant has a fair trial.
Mr. Mason.
Yes, there are 93 U.S. Attorney's offices in this country. They all follow Rule 16 or close something to it. There's 88 county prosecutors in the state. 83 of them follow Criminal Rule 16, like I do. That's the legal standard that has been set forth by the Ohio Supreme Court. Now, I support modifying criminal rule 16 or open discovery, but I'll do it not at the risk of victims and witnesses. We have to do it in a way that we make the defendant and defense get all the information they need to defend themselves with. Let them know what's in the police reports, but we can't do it at the risk of harming our victims and witnesses. Like she just said, if we allow them to have the statements of our victims and our witnesses, they are going to be, this is a very tough community we live in. We live in a very tough area. They're going to be badgering, poking, intimidating our witnesses. Since 2005 in this county, I have indicted 500 cases for witness intimidation, retaliation, or obstruction of justice. So we got to be very protective about how we go about this, but I am for expanding open discovery.
Yes, ma'am, right here.
My question is for both candidates. What solutions would you envision for solving the problem of prosecutors arriving unprepared for trial, late for trial, or failing to appear at all?
Mr. Mason, you first, please.
Okay, let me just say that we have 220 assistant county prosecutors in this county currently, that we handle approximately 20,000 cases a year. Since I've been the prosecutor, that means we've handled a little over 200,000 cases. I can't say that we're perfect on all of them, but we have a 95% conviction rate on all cases, and when we go to trial, we convict about 68% of them. So I'm not sure what you're referring to. You might be referring to one case that was in the paper about one prosecutor. That happens. We have 220. My people are prepared. They're hard workers. They put in their days like no government worker does, and they don't deserve to be wrapped because one person made one mistake on one occasion.
Ms. Butler?
I received an email from an attorney who says that I tried a case out in Lake County earlier this year, 7 witnesses. It took a day and a half. The trial was scheduled for 8:30, and by 8:30 the judge was on the bench. There were 7 witnesses in the last case I tried in Cuyahoga County too. It took 5 days. I keep hearing stories about how attorneys come unprepared, they come not at all, and I've gone on the docket sheet and I found that there are several cases in sentencing when the attorneys didn't show up, prosecutors didn't show up at all. So while Mr. Mason may think that his staff is there, they're not. And what I will do is I've never heard of coming late for anything that had to do with court, and I certainly have never heard of not being there at all. So that would certainly come to a screeching halt under my administration.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to direct this to Prosecutor Mason. I think you know this case, Prosecutor Mason. There's 2 questions. How many people in the city of Beechwood have you prosecuted? How many have you enforced for domestic violence? How many have you enforced for internet pornography? We haven't seen a child in 16 months taken away from a mother, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and you know the case, Mr. Mason. He's a billionaire doctor, and you let him go free, and he has the child,
Okay,
and we can't get an appointment
okay.
with you.
Let's let him respond. This is an opportunity to respond. Mr. Mason?
I would ask you to tell me the name of the case. I don't know
The
this.
Signer case. Katie Signer, Ben Signer, and Julie Signer, the mother. 16 months. We haven't seen a 7-year-old child lives a mile away from us.
Okay, thank you. Mr.
Why-
Mason,
why prosecutor-
please let him respond. Please, this is an opportunity for him to respond.
I'm
You've asked
so-
a tough question, let him answer it.
I'm sorry you're having that difficulty, obviously. I said I'm very sorry you're having that difficulty with that situation, but
Please, ma'am, please. He's responding to your question. Give him the courtesy. Thank you.
I am not personally aware of the facts that you speak of.